What is up, guys? Thomas here with another video. Today I'm going to go over real quick how to disconnect the engine harness from the ECU. It's kind of a pain in the ass and no one's really covered it, so I figured I'd go for it. So the first thing you're going to want to do is disconnect your carpet. There's just a few screws holding in the trim piece, and under that there's these guides that just clip off of the rail, just like that. Real easy. From there, you gotta push, you pull the carpet out of the footwell in the top right and just pull it towards you. And I used a screwdriver to keep it pushed back because it's so heavily molded, it tries to go back into place. And from there, there's a metal foot plate covering the ECU. 4 10-millimeter bolts hold it in. That comes out, and then there's your ECU. As you can see, there's mine. The two yellowish green plugs on the left are the only ones that go to the engine harness that you pull through up top. And from there, there's three plugs, up over here. The two that appear yellow, you're disconnecting those two. And then there's a little white one just past the lower yellow plug. So it's kind of hard to point to, but it's like literally 3 inches in front of the lower yellow one, which is right there. And getting access to this is very difficult. So one thing you'll want to do is remove the fan from this side. There's a fan that goes with the HVAC system in here, and that disconnects by 3 10-millimeter bolts once again. And then there's a clamp holding it onto this one. And what it looks like when you take it out is this. So it's got a fan in it and stuff. It kind of looks like a giant plastic turbo. When you go to take it out, there's a bunch of wire connections mounted to it, so you have to take those off. And then there's, I want to say, there's at least 3 wire connections that you have to disconnect on here, and you can either use a flat-headed screwdriver like I did to help pry them apart, or if you have a really strong grip, you can use your fingers. And I also took out the lower speaker panel and my glove box, and I think it took a little bit longer doing that. I want to say this took me about an hour and a half to 2 hours, just because I've never done it and it wasn't really covered. But it worked really well having all this room because you can get your hands in quite much easier. Trying to get the fan out from the bottom is almost impossible because there's plugs up top right here that you have to disconnect. And once all that's taken care of, I'm going to try to swing this thing in so you can see the hole. Shoot. Yeah, there's not really a good angle, so I'll show you from the top. Actually, wait a minute. I'll show you from the top. So just under the charcoal canister and this, I think it has something to do with cruise control. Leave in the comments if I'm wrong. I probably am. There's a hole in there. There it is. You can see it over there, the metal, right there in the top left of the screen. That's the hole that you pull the wiring harness through. There's a rubber grommet, which is right here. You get a flathead screwdriver in there and pry that out, and then carefully pull your wires through. Don't go animal on it and just try to rip it through, because if you de-pin one of the plugs, this is a 30-year-old harness, so it's crusty. If you break wires, it's just going to ruin your life later. And then from there, there's a couple of factory zip ties holding it down. And you just disconnect those and start swinging it around things so it's on the motor. As far as this goes, my engine mounts are disconnected. My trans mount has like 2 bolts holding it in and oil coolers hanging. So I'm pretty much ready to pull, other than maybe a couple little lines here and there. But everyone that I've asked about this swap has told me it is far easier to pull the harness in than take the motor apart and disconnect things. And this way I'm only labeling a few things, and then when I start taking the motor apart, I can see where everything goes a lot easier. So that's it. Like, comment, subscribe. Take it easy.